All right, so I'm getting ready to go to California on a blacktail hunt, and many of you probably doing the same thing, getting ready to go out west or even just take a trip throughout your state where you're going to get away from home and further back into the backcountry. I thought it'd be useful to go over some of the stuff that I carry in my vehicle. I mostly carry it pretty much year round, and that's because I've had a need or come into a need at one point or another where I've needed to use some of this stuff. So I'm going to go over some of the equipment that I carry. This truck is basically like the way I've had it set up since I came back from a job. I've been building a cabin away from home and pretty much the backcountry of my state, and I've actually used several of these items again, and happy that I had them with me. But if you're going to go anywhere where you're several hours or more away, or where you'll see less than 2 vehicles a day, or very few vehicles, you should carry some of this stuff with you. All right, first we probably ought to talk about the vehicle itself. It's just a 4x4 truck. Now I have gone out west and got in and out using something other than a 4-wheel drive vehicle. You have to be smart about where you're going, and you have to have some equipment in order to get you out of a jam, and I'll show you what that stuff is. The ladder rack is an A1 system, or System 1 aluminum ladder rack. I have this because of my occupation, being a carpenter, as well as 2 job boxes. I didn't always have this system. I also had a truck cap that I used, and I would store a lot of these items in a carpentry or a tradesman truck cap. I'd store it in the side boxes, or I've also stored it in totes in the bed of the truck. I guess we'll just start with the bed of the truck. I had a list and was going to keep it organized, and what I'll do is I'll try to put a list down in the description so you guys have something that you can pack your truck with. There will be a more detailed video about some of this stuff, actually one particular item, and that's my first aid kit. Again, this thing has not been cleaned up or anything. You'll see, it's a mess. So one of the main things that I carry a lot of times is a Matick. Matick on a wooden handle, and I don't know, I've had this for work for quite a while, and I mostly carry it just to, if I get stuck, to dig myself out. When I was traveling in a 2-wheel drive vehicle, I don't know how many times I used that. An embarrassing amount. Also in the cab of the truck, I just have 2 fuel tanks. One, oh, I hate these EPA tanks. This is just ridiculous. One is full right now, and the other one I had to fill up the generator at the job. I got mixed 2-cycle oil for another big object in here, and that is my chainsaw. Of course, bar oil too. If you're going to spend your time carrying a chainsaw, you probably should be ready and able to service it, at least in a minimal amount. And so I have the tool, I have a file, an extra chain, 2-cycle oil, and stuff in a bucket. given my druthers, I usually don't take a chainsaw as often. I did because this past week, actually past 3 weeks, because that I need that at the job. But typically I'll just carry an axe, and that gets it done for what I need. All right, also in the back here, I've got another bucket that's got different bungee cords, ratchet straps, 4 ratchet straps and about 6 bungee cords. Okay, that's it for the bed of the truck. We'll go through this side box. All right, I got a come along. This obviously, I don't have a winch, so this is to help me out of situations that get basically where I got myself into trouble. A small hatchet, that self-explanatory. All right, I got a portable. This works off the your battery, your cigarette lighter, but I just have a small Harbor Freight air compressor. I've used this one about 3 times. It's small, it's slow, but it works enough to get you along. And then a set of tire chains. Now, they call these tire chains, but what I got really aren't chains. I have used them, and I've used them here in the wintertime, I don't know how many times, and then I've used them out west about 4 times. But they're actually cables. I don't want to open, I hate opening these up. But they're actually cables that go onto the tire. They're real easy to put on, and then you have a bungee cord that straps them tight. One thing about these, if you get to spinning your tires very much, that cable stretches out, becomes loose on your tire, and then it can pop off maybe, and then you're going to start throwing cable and chain up into your wheel well, which is then going to cause you body damage, which would suck. I've yet to run into that. Knowing that it could happen with these, I watch them. If they loosen up, I go out and try and tighten them. And then more importantly, I try not to spin my tires. Spinning tires don't get much grip anyways. All right, the other box. On the other box, I've got 2 tow straps. And those are just for different events. Most of the time I need one, but let's say somebody can't get down to where the vehicle is, or I can't get down to where a vehicle is. Put the 2 of them together with a knot that unties easily, and then I got some more reach down into a ditch or something. Okay, I got another axe actually. And this is just a Fisker's axe. This is just a hand axe, and to be quite honest, instead of carrying the chainsaw most of the time, what I do is I carry these 2. This is mostly just for firewood when I'm camping out of the truck, and then this is for clearing trees that are down, and I've used this probably half a dozen times. And I think the largest tree I ever went through was about 16, maybe 18 inches in diameter. And it didn't take me all that much longer to get it out of the way to where I was able to get going down that road. Along with the Matick, I've got a D-handled shovel. So basically, in the Army we call these Pioneer kits, I believe. But it's an axe, a shovel, and a Matick, all for vehicle rescue or getting a vehicle out, whatever you want to call that. This one's a big one. All right, inside here are all the tools I would need to work on my truck. Well, shouldn't say that. Most of the tools I need to do, a majority of repairs on my truck. And in here I got my sockets, wrenches, drivers, hammers, and everything required to run most of these. I've used this to repair in the field. You know, it sucks doing something on the side of a road, but at least I have them. And more importantly, I've always had these for work when equipment's gone down. It's usually sitting right there and I can grab them for my job, or, you know, for at work. 7/16" rope for pulling, tying, or whatever you needed rope for. And you can never have enough rope. All right, in this bag is more vehicle stuff again. And it's just a general kit. I'll show you what's in it. I got Fix-A-Flat, a flashlight, and that's just an L-shaped flashlight that I've had forever. A funnel for fluids, a bottle jack, and I've kept the bottle jack in here versus my truck jack because, well, that's a 12-ton jack. So you know, sometimes you're somewhere where your scissor jack for the truck or anything else just won't very well get you out. I do have a small jack stand, and that jack stand, you know, after I jack up the truck to change a tire or pull a tire, can keep it on there. I got a set of bolt cutters. I could get a bigger one, but they're kind of cumbersome to carry. And these I've used for things you use bolt cutters for. I've used them on my own locks, and then I have used these once to get through an area because of an emergency where I had to cut the lock. It was either cut the lock or go 2 hours around, and like I said, it was kind of an emergency I had to get through, so I cut the lock and went through. Not necessarily kosher, but it was an emergency. And then extra batteries, D-cell batteries to run that stuff. Obviously, anything you keep in your truck, not anything that I care if it gets bounced around or broken. All right, again, the fluids kits, another funnel, more Fix-A-Flat, a tire patch kit, power steering fluid, brake fluid, more brake fluid. We're gonna get weather here pretty quick. I've got some JB Weld radiator leak stop, belt conditioner, power steering fluid, rear main seal leak stop. I just bought one seal leak stop. I bought all their leak stop stuff. And the idea is that if you develop a leak out somewhere, I mean, I don't like to have the filler they put in these things in my systems, whether it's my radiator or the oil or whatever else. But walking 20 miles or being able to plug something up and drive 20 miles and then do the repair is a lot more convenient than, again, walking 20 miles or whatever to do a repair. It would suck ass. All right. Also got some duct tape. Again, that's something you can't have enough of. Some extra towels. That's just to dry off if you get wet, if you're in the weather, anything like that. I've got a NOCO. This is the GB40 Boost. This is a jump pack. I've used this to jump vehicles, not mine necessarily, but jump other vehicles several times. And then tried to jump a piece of equipment with it, which would have, it's a skid steer. Tried to jump a skid steer, but that didn't have enough balls to get it done. Okay, toilet paper, because, I mean, we all know why. The other thing I keep in is a set of jumper cables. Now, I just said I tried to jump that skid steer with that jump pack and it didn't have the balls. We had to get it hooked up with these jumper cables to jump it. But we got it running. You know, I got all this stuff stored under my back seat of my extended cab, so it's really not in the way for me. It'd be silly to have to drive as far as you would without carrying a pair of jumper cables. All right, I've got some extra pair of clothes in here. And some other stuff in case I get wet. I also got an ice scraper and a brush. Some of you don't live in an area where there's snow or may never think of it, and then when you get up to high altitude or something, then you got snow, and you know, you have to think of different weather and different conditions when you're going to a different place. And you know, I showed you tire chains earlier, and I've had a lot of people that I've taken from, not a lot, but several people that have gone from the east to the west with, and they're like, well, I don't need tire chains, I got four-wheel drive. The fact is, four-wheel drive ain't gonna do squat for you if all four tires are spinning, and that includes ice, mud, or snow. You need something that's gonna bite, and you know, the rubber tires on your truck aren't gonna bite and help you, keep you from sliding. You need chains. So the last thing is, I don't know how to, the last thing is my first aid kit. This also acts as my job first aid kit. I've got it separated to two different things. I just picked these Hyper Tough organizers up at Walmart, but burns and bugs and prevention and wound dressing. I got it broke down and labeled, and more importantly, I have a general good knowledge on how to use all this stuff. And then I've got wound prep, meds, and safety items or devices in here. I'll break this one down specifically. It'll be the follow-on video and show you some of the items I have in here. If you run a crew of guys, it would be smart to keep this stuff around and know how to use it. If you have a crew in your family, it would be smart to have that stuff around and know how to use it. If you have a friend, it'd be good to have that around and know how to use it. If you're alone, I mean, you get the point. I've used the first aid kit several times since I built it, and I built my own because I can find my own. I know what I want, and I can find that stuff, get it organized. I'm not paying for extra shit that I won't use, like alcohol preps or butterfly stitches or something like that. If you buy a prepackaged first aid kit, number one, you've never touched it until you open it. You don't know what it looks like, how it operates, and where it's placed most of the time, because they just have them in other cardboard containers in that first aid kit. And secondly, you don't get a choice of what quality of items you put into that. And then lastly, there's a lot of times that those first aid items, until you buy the biggest pack that you're never going to use unless you got a company of 1,000 people, you will pay for things. You can't get some of the stuff that you need. Yeah, that's it. You know, in the East, off or some type of bug repellent is helpful to have in the vehicle, so you can get out and go run your dog and spray down before you get them out of the box. And then, of course, I carry maps, paper maps. I just didn't grow up using them, so I don't use any of the digital mapping systems. The biggest reason is because of scale. You know, digital map, even, you know, the largest you can get for scale is a 3x5 screen, and that really doesn't let you orient yourself very well in a larger scale area. So I carry paper maps to orient myself and get out. They're all under my seats. Just National Forest maps and road atlases, US road atlases, and then also one of the recreation maps. Oh, it's called Sportsman's Connection, and they have them for many other states other than just this one. I can cover maps later. I'll get into those, basically how I use those and how I find areas later on. Like I said in the beginning, I'm getting ready to go to California on a hunt. I'm packing up all my equipment, so I'll show you what I did and basically show you how I'm prepping. So if you want to see any of that stuff, go ahead and go ahead and subscribe. And I thank you for oh, it's raining. I thank you for watching this. Go ahead and subscribe and get out and explore your nature.